everyone, this is Keith from Save the Rust, and tonight I thought I'd show you our 1943 Harley WLC bobber. This one came to the collection kind of assembled. It doesn't look like anything like it did before, and what I had to do is I stripped it down to the frame and rebuilt it. So history on this bike was it had been in the area for almost 40 years. Only a couple miles from my house and unknown. Basically, it was never outside, never ridden, never shown, no one knew about it. And I had seen a picture from a friend, and from that point on I was kind of intrigued by it because it was just a stripped down little Harley 45 bobber. So fast forward 2 years and I get a call from one of the fellow members in the Antique Motorcycle Club of Manitoba, and he asked me, "Oh, you like those old Harley 45s?" Absolutely. So I got the guy's number, called him up, went down the next day, looked it over, and immediately bought it. The previous owner said he had heard it run once back in the late 70s, and it was his brother's bike, and then he had purchased it off of him, and it had sat in a heated garage all these years. So when I got it, stripped it down to the frame, and it's a 45. It has a chrome frame. Someone chromed it back in the day, and it's what's wild is I'll show you later in another video. I have a 63 Harley Survey car with a chrome frame as well. So I probably have the only chrome frame Survey car and chrome frame Harley bobber on the planet, at least at the same time. I have two bikes with chrome frames. It's crazy. Anyway, so what we did is started back from the frame, and there were some, I'm happy I didn't try and just start it because there was a lot of things that weren't done right, not bolted on right. The motor wasn't shimmed, and one of the first things you have to do when you're building old Harleys, shim everything. So what does that mean? You're just adding shim stock and almost like a spacer in between components, so that you're not trying to pull it together. You put a shim in between, and it takes up that slack. You'll end up with a way better motorcycle. You won't break as much stuff, etc. That's just a tech tip today. So I ended up pulling off the heads off this motor, and I couldn't find what size, what oversize they were. I cleaned all the piston off, and usually there's a stamp, it's 10 thou over, 20 thou over, blah, blah, blah. These are standard bore, and this motor has great compression, more compression than some of my other 45s. So I don't think this motor actually has a lot of miles on it. So that's cool. I mean, you never find stock bore 80-year-old motors nowadays. So second thing, so I put the motor in, and what I did is I rated all my parts, and anything that was chromed that I wouldn't use in a restoration or a military application, I put on this bike. So I had these bars, I had the headlight, the headlight mount, I had the dash, I had all these parts, chain guard and exhaust and all these parts. Just let's over chrome this entire bike because it's got a chrome frame. Let's go with that idea. Second was these tanks. These tanks have been sitting on my shelf for a couple of years. These are really historically important tanks for myself and for another bike. So I have another video you'll see in the future here. I have a 1940 WLDR racer. So that was a race bike from 1940, and these are the original tanks off it. So if you're wondering why I don't have these tanks on the bike, is because in 1947, they put on WR tanks, which are narrower and you don't have the ability to put a dash in between. They're strictly for racing. So those tanks are on that bike. So these tanks I got with that bike, and these scallops were painted in 1950, 51. So that's 70 years ago, these tanks were painted. So I can't ever pull the paint off. I gotta try and preserve them, but at least with this bike, I get to use them, because that's part of it, is they gotta be used. I gotta use this stuff. So what I did is I rebuilt the bars, you know, all new cables, rebuilt the rockers, all new bushings. I put this tire on, and I gotta take it off, got a flat on it now. Rebuilt all the brakes, and the only thing I gotta do now is, oh. Yeah, it's a little bit tippy. I got a chrome brake drum. So I'm gonna take off the black one that's on it now and put the chrome one on, because gotta go with that same idea, everything chromed. Rebuilt the wheels, and at this point, I'm just gonna use this fender. I'm gonna use it as is. It's an original fender. You can see it's got some age on it. It's actually rusted through. Someone bead blasted back in the day, and it fits, it works. This is an original military Harley seat. I believe it's all original brown leather, and this is 1942, 1943. They went from brown to black, and I think back to brown. It's hard to remember all the specifics, but so where we're at on the bike is I gotta finish a little bit of wiring. I gotta pull the tanks back off, and there is a couple little spots that had some rust, so I gotta deal with that, fix them up. You seen what I did on the 1937 big inch flathead gas tanks, so I'm more than capable about fixing these. I still gotta put the shifter. There's a couple little things I still have to finish up, but for the most part, this thing's ready to go. So, you know, like it's gonna be a fun little bike. Compared to my blue Harley 45, or this one here, the green one. This one's just so much lighter. I don't have any of the military parts on it. You know, no front fender, half a back fender. Really excited about driving this bike. Like this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun little bike. So one of the features is I actually have an M88 linkered, and it's chromed also. I think this is a later Servicar style outer cover, and even a really old beat up chrome battery box. Just everything as much chrome as I can. Even a chrome seat tee, as you can see. I got to weld up a couple mounts here for the pivot point. And yeah, a couple little things, but this is going to be such a cool little bike to just bomb around on, you know, like it's going to be so light, so nimble. I'm really excited to ride this bike. So when I say there's a lot of chrome on this bike, there's a lot of chrome. Every nut, every washer, well, almost every, the rockers, the brake arm, the brake backing plate. I got a black one on here right now, but I got a chrome one sitting right there. That's gonna go on. The Springer, all chromed. Headlight mount, headlight, the handlebars, everything's chromed. This is an old Eaton's cap, tall cap, very rare. So, look at this, chromed M88 linkered. I mean, who does that? I got that, I don't even know where. Beautiful air cleaner. Yeah, it's got some dings, but it's not perfect, doesn't need to be. Nice, it's just a nice piece. It's got a later Servicar primary. The straps are chromed. The rocker clutch is chromed. The end of the generators chromed, like all that stuff. Just, I had it lying around, this battery box. The frame is just beautiful. Like, it's nicely chromed. 18-inch wheel with a star hub, chrome star hub. Here's something really neat. You see that? See those numbers? The Canadian government stamped serial number into the frame. It's not the first time I've seen that either. That is not from Harley. The dash is chromed. Just all the rods, the pedal, the distributor cap, you know, just the chain guard, everything, the exhaust, just so much cool pieces. But look at these tanks. I mean, these tanks are just, you can't fake that. I mean, those tanks were painted in 1950, 51. And I can't wait to see the two bikes side by side with matching paint, matching 70-year-old paint. I mean, that's quite amazing. I always wanted to try and get the back fender kind of to match, but you know what? It just works. Works for me. You can see the age. This is all rusted through. Yeah, just cool old fender. Original brown leather. Like, just look at that. This is 1942. I think they had brown in 42 and black. You can see I need to weld on a seat pivot. It was cut off. And the weird part is the same thing was on my Cervicar frame that was chromed. So again, this is probably the only place in the world you're going to see a chrome frame Harley 45 and a chrome frame Harley Cervicar. Like, not really sure. I didn't do that. That's just how I got them. So, I mean, the 45 frame is quite unique, but a Cervicar frame chromed, you know, some people did some crazy stuff back in the 70s. Just so, again, you know what? Thanks again for watching me rant about old bikes. I just, you know, love these things. And I hope you enjoy them as well. Thanks for all the support. It's been a month today that we started our YouTube channel after years of people telling us we should. And it's going pretty well. I'm very happy. And it's just fun to show long videos about what we're doing with these bikes, that we ride them, that we build them, that we enjoy them, love the history on them, and hope to bring you lots more and show you how we build these bikes and then how we ride them. Thanks again. Like and subscribe. Save the rust.